Thank you, everybody, for tuning into a Global from Asia podcast. We are doing these interviews on the go. We have a great guest. She's in Turkey now, and I'm in Bangkok, which makes it pretty international. Pauline Masson, founder and CEO of Shopkeeper. Thank you for being here, Paulina.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. We worked hard to get this to happen.
That's right.
With our online teams, or maybe my online teams, we're growing and keeping things rolling as smoothly as possible. And excited for today's topic. But before we dive into the pricing strategies and psychology of pricing for Amazon or e-commerce or business in general, do you want to maybe give us a little bit of background about yourself today, Paulina?
Sure. So I'm one of those Amazon sellers that jumped on the wagon in the gold rush times. That's 2014. So if you would look at Google Trends and you would put in Amazon FBA, so 2014 is when it started going really quickly up. And then that's when eBay started going down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we call a gold rush. And those were easy times, to start and launch the products. We had a lot of things that sellers don't have today. So it was good times to join in. And that's how I became an Amazon seller and became slowly developed my expertise in this niche. And because I am a developer by background, software developer, I just realized that I need this certain tool, and then to do this and this, I started automating my things a little bit for Amazon business. And that's how Shopkeeper was born, the initial version of it. Eventually,
Exciting.
So many people started asking for it. First my husband, then my brother, then the Facebook group that I was part of. And we decided to hire a team and build it from scratch, make it commercial product, which is very successful today.
Exciting. So that's always the best way, right? To make something for your own need. Eat your own dog food is, I think, what they say, and then people are asking for that as well. So pricing, I guess that's your thing. Is that so? In the gold rush days, in the early days, was that also something you were using to differentiate? It seems like was and is always been an important part, you think?
Well, numbers, I'm a numbers girl, so I really like everything about the numbers, and the Shopkeeper app is all about the numbers. It's a profit calculator. So I have a lot of knowledge about different fees and things that come into the pricing. And because pricing strategy is so closely related and is so numbers based, so I've always been personally curious about it. And I used a lot of different strategies and split tested many things on my own seller account. And then it became sort of an obsession of mine. And I just started learning more and more and testing many different things. And now I have a good feeling what works and what doesn't. And I've spoken on this topic in different conferences for Amazon sellers. So after I talk, usually sellers approach me and ask me for feedback on their own strategies. And that's how I gained a lot of insight from different perspectives for different categories of products. So now I feel like I have this sense, which price could work and which one wouldn't. So yeah, it's my personal favorite topic.
Great. Then today will be a treat for listeners. And so, we'll talk about some ideas. I even have some of my own questions for my own use to ask you. But I think, is price everything in Amazon? I mean, some people feel like they ask you with the, of course there's factories or Chinese sellers direct. Is price or low price? I mean, a lot of people think the lowest price should be the top result. I mean, of course there's more to it than that, but what do you think is the importance of low price?
I think price is a big driver, and it's a big decision factor for the buyer. Overall on Amazon, since Amazon launched the motto was, we have the best prices and the biggest selection. Because of that part, the best prices, they attracted many of those bargain hunters that are sort of expecting the best price online to be on Amazon. And because of that, the prices on Amazon are not so much for the luxury buyer, but more for the bargain hunter. If you look at the curve, there are more bargain hunters on Amazon. So it's interesting that you are asking about low price. Is that important? Well, overall, like I said, it's important to even the price as a factor is like the second most important on Amazon. The first is the image, and then the second is the price. And that's all that people look at first. Later, they look at reviews, at social proof, if they like the product. But the very first thing is the image, and then the price together with that. So price is super, super important in your strategy, because even you can have the best bullet points, the best something else, you know, if you don't have good pricing strategy, you may lose in that, you know, first search page of results. So it's important, you know, to really focus on it.
All right. So what would you say is like is there terminology for like the lowest price, a premium, a luxury? Is there some terminology that we or sellers should use when we're talking about our own product or looking at our competitors? Is there?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting that you ask. There are 3 different buckets of buyers. So, and this research has been done, which I was very curious to read about. So this is not only for Amazon. In general, what type of buyers exist for e-commerce? So there is this type called Scrooge, like the bargain hunter, right? So that's not necessarily the guy who has the least money. It's very often the rich guy, you know, but those guys really like to the cheapest they can get, you know, if they will have all the plugins that compare the prices online, and then they will just look for the cheapest, doesn't matter anything else. So actually those guys are 24% online. That's 24% of them overall that exist from all the buyers. And then there is this luxury buyer, you know, the buyer who doesn't even think about the price when they buy it. Actually, I'm one of those. And those are not necessarily the richest people either. You know, those are like just the big spenders who, like, if I'm thinking very long, should I buy it, should I not? It's not the price that is tripping me up. I'm thinking, will this be beneficial for me? How will I use it? You know, that's what takes me a long time to decide. But usually the big spenders don't even look at the price tag. They just look if they like the benefit of the product. So there's only 15% of those. And the rest in the middle are like average spenders, 61% of them. So there's this research been done. But on Amazon, it shifts a little bit more to the bargain hunter, just because, like I said, Amazon positions itself as a place where you can buy the cheapest product. So not necessarily you have as many luxury buyers on Amazon either. So now when you're putting your strategy, you usually will fall into one of these buckets. Whether you will target, like if you want to be the cheapest, you will target those Scrooges and you'll fight for the price with the other cheap guys, you know, and that's like the toughest bucket to be in, but you can still make money there. And probably everybody's favorite niche to be is target as luxury buyer, you know, because you can put whatever price and they will still buy it if the product is good. But just like I said, there are not so many of them on Amazon. So if 16% overall exists, probably a little bit less on Amazon overall. So in terms of profit and the volume, how many sales you can make and profit you can make, probably the best bucket to be in is that middle, where people are not so affected by the price, but they're still looking for good deal and good quality product. So that middle is probably the best place to start with. But if you see that nobody is offering the super cheap product or nobody is offering the luxury item, then you could go there and then you'll have less people to share with that little profit. So it all depends on the other competitors. What are they doing? So it's always important when you're deciding your pricing strategy to look at all these other guys and see what they're doing. And that's how you would base your pricing strategy.
Okay. This is good. I think some listeners know we sell we have like a public case of coffee products we could talk about, but we're kind of in the middle too. We try to follow the middle strategy of quality and price. So another point we had talked about in preparing for the interview is the 95 cents, 97, 99. Is that, you know, what's your, and then some people just do like 5.00, some do 4.97. Obviously it's just a few cents, or even 4.99. I know that's something interesting for people, and you must have some insights on that.
That's right. It's a very interesting psychological effect that happens. You know how we see this 99 everywhere, and like I was thinking before, like, what's even the reason for it? Why everybody's doing 99? Seems such a complex number, you know, 29.99. Well, a long time ago, I discovered that the answer is very simple. If you compare 29.99 and 30, that one is 20 something, this one's 30 something. That's huge difference. That's very significant. So that's all the basic difference. But now what happened with the 99, that we became conditioned to feel that 99 is some sort of bargain. It's some sort of good deal. And unfortunately, very often, good bargain means lower quality item. If it's super cheap, good bargain means probably lower quality. So that's where you can play a little bit. If you are targeting those luxury buyers, the big spenders, you could round your prices to have like 45.00 instead of 44.99. Yeah. And then they will feel like, something's a little bit different. Must be not such a good bargain. Then must be a little bit luxury item, right? Just this 1 cent makes the whole difference because it's different. We are not used to seeing the round numbers like that. So you can play on that a little bit. And there are a little bit more strategies. Do you want to hear a few more on psychology?
Sure. These are great. This is really great. Yeah, please.
So you know how this 999 everywhere and so on? So because of a 9, we started to believe with this part of our brain in the back here, I forgot what it's called, but that's the one which is driving for you when you don't even think about it. So that 999 became put into that part of the brain that you don't even think about it. 9 equals good deal. So now I tested in my prices and I had a lot of wiggle space. I was targeting the luxury buyer. Most people were doing $18.99 and I was doing $34 for the same item because I was targeting those big spenders. I decided, they don't care much about the price. Let me change it to 39, because 9 in our brain is like a better deal.
Oh,
actually, 39 started selling so much more, the number of sessions increased, even though there was $5 difference in the profit. And in total, I was only making maybe $11 on that item. So $5 was significant that, And
sure.
I tested that with the other bracket, with the average spenders as well. Actually, 34 sells much worse than 39 just because there is a 9 in it. And in the end, I realized that there are other charm numbers. They call them charm numbers. You know how Walmart is doing $9.95 always with the 5 in the end? Or all internet marketers are using 7 at the end, like 9.
I think 7,
67, yeah. So those numbers 5, 7, and 9 are the most common charm numbers, like end numbers. And if you use those in your price digits, so instead of using 34, 36, use 35 and 37. And that will help you sell more and get more sessions just because of that, like I said, part of the brain which thinks automatically about it. So avoid those even numbers 4, 6, and 8 and always just go look at your listings and switch the prices up to be 35, 37, 39. That will totally help your number of sessions. There's many different tricks and things with that, but this is the most interesting bit for me, that if you just switch up the digits that you use, you can gain a lot.
Yeah, I like it. And I learned about charm number. That's a great one. And going back to the cheaper price, like you said, I think Amazon or Jeff Bezos says, I think it's 3 criteria: the cheapest, the fastest, and the best service. Something like this is their goal. So does that mean like I see some new competitors coming out, and they're launching their product, they're selling at cost or even losing money, and it freaks. I think sellers there, it's scary, right? You're like, do I change my price? Are you looking? I guess of course you got to look at you mentioned it in the interview a little bit too. Are you looking at your competitors? I guess you're looking at your own data. How much paranoid should you be about, especially new competitors coming in and dropping in the market?
I know it's scary when there's so many, right now is about 5 million third-party sellers on Amazon. There are so many other guys in the same bucket, and it gets worse and worse and worse with this Amazon FBA being the gold rush. But in reality, those who are playing for the very cheap price, they are also playing it on the quality. When they go to Chinese manufacturer, they usually tell them, okay, let's not use stainless steel, let's use this regular metal, which rusts right away, and then they get lower reviews. So it's like lower quality goes with lower price, And I think if you continue having very high reviews, like minimum 4.5 stars, if you are there and your product is high quality and he has 3.5 stars with his $10, you definitely still have an edge, because like I said, not so many people are affected by price. Even sometimes you would put 2 prices next to each other. When when I'm choosing, okay, I'm a big spender, maybe I'm a bad example, but I think in general, people, when they see like $10 item, 12 and 18, they think that I'll buy 12, 10 is probably the low quality, like they discard the lowest one just automatically. So you still have space for competition there. Plus you brought up this interesting thing that you said, do you have to look at other people on your page? Those sellers that I mentioned that come to me after the conference, after I give a talk on the pricing, and they show me their phone and they say, Paulina, like, what should I do? First thing I always do, I look at all of their competitors on the first page and see what they're doing. And that's how I always recommend basing your initial pricing strategy. Don't forget, you can't just look at like one snapshot of, if he's doing $18.99, I'll do 17. No, you can't just look at that snapshot of today. You have to open something like Jungle Scout and look at like historical average of his price. Maybe it's a promo he's running, maybe low on inventory, maybe, he has a repricer. All these things can affect his price. So you have to look at the average, historic average of the price, and that's how you base your decision. Keep in mind, some of the people could be even out of stock and not show up on your listing. I've heard sellers that they create this product, they launch, they come to, and then suddenly there are other strong sellers with 5,000 reviews. They were just out of stock when they were looking at the market. So, when you are deciding on the product niche, keep checking every 2 weeks, what's happening in that category. Maybe seasonal, maybe something. So it's very, very important to always look. Plus, you'll see all the players, how they are distributed, who's targeting the luxury guys, who's doing the bargains, and who's in the middle. And then, like I discovered in my niche that there was nobody doing the luxury buyer, So I went to my Chinese manufacturer and I told them, okay, let's upgrade this item now to be stainless steel instead of this regular metal. And then, let's add a box and a velvet bag. And now I can charge $10 more just because it looks completely different. Benefits are different. So, always look at what exists first before you even start thinking about anything.
That's really great. The frequency, I think, or how, I'm talking about paranoid people. Well, I'm sure your software also can help. Is this, but some people, are you checking every day, every 5 minutes? Are you refreshing your page? Are you, what is some daily workflow, or how often should we look at price?
Actually, Amazon, if you look at Amazon listings themselves, like what they run, Amazon listings, actually they change price like every 10 minutes or something. Like this very with sense, they just have so much data to work from. But us as sellers, we don't have that much data to work from. It's very hard to manually keep checking every day. And the repricers are not really looking at any other listings, which is most important factor in my opinion. They're only looking in your buy box. And if you're like the only guy there, you can't even use repricers. And if you do split testing of any kind, split testing only works on high volume products, because you don't have enough statistical significance if you only sell 5 units a week. You have to have enough volume to check it. There are other things affecting split testing like seasonality or PPC, demand and supply. They're so hard to test and change the prices. I think once you discovered what brings you good volume, like in the beginning you may change it, but later I wouldn't recommend changing it up too much. Except things like coupons. Coupons expire, every 90 days. So you should go back and check and enable them. There's just one button click to re-enable all your coupons, and check what other competitors are doing. Maybe, once a week. If it's really high volume product, you could check once a day. But, if you have 10,000 items, that gets hard. So I would just focus on your best sellers. But changing the price is really risky business. It's one of the strong factors that affects algorithm, A9 algorithm on Amazon. So if you change it up, it takes algorithms some time to get used to it, right? To now see, now higher volume coming and there are more CTR, more. And as soon as you change the price, it becomes like a new test cycle for the algorithm. So you have to give it enough time to actually react, and what if it reacts badly? It pushes you down, So then you have to quickly go back and it's very, very risky. So in the beginning, when you're setting your prices, just decide your strategy very well, over a span of time, check what the situation is. And just play like that. If it's super, super competitive market and you are really worried about the price and you are very tight in the margins fighting with the other guys, what I would recommend doing is, let's say you are like second or third or fourth result, I would exactly copy the bestseller or the Amazon choice tag. Let's say he's doing $29.99 and 5% off. Well, I wouldn't say $29.99 and 10% off. No, I wouldn't even buy $1. I just do $29.99, 5% off. Exact same match what he's doing. Why I do that? Because when people are skimming, now suddenly the prices are matching exactly. And the price becomes a little bit irrelevant at that point. They are now choosing which one they like better, right? So now you suddenly become, if you have at least 5 reviews, that works. So, now they're choosing by which one they like better. So it's very often, don't make them think, this guy is $1 cheaper, but he has less reviews. Don't even put them there, the buyers. Just put exact match price and coupon, exact amount, and then you'll be on a different bucket of consideration. So it's a nice strategy to use sometimes if you are really struggling.
I like that. One specific question that popped in my mind is the psychology, I think, between the $10, right? Like one of our items is at $19.95. I don't know if the 5 is right or not, but it seems so hard or scary to go to $20.95 or $20.99, because you're going from, $20 to $30. So then that's the tricky one, at least in my opinion. We're considering increasing our price, but then you're going to go into the $20 range rather than the teen dollar range, like
what's
that
the
feels
profit
like also
margin? What's the profit margin on that item? Like, do you know, like how much percentage?
Yeah. It's about $10 we're paying, so it'd be about 20.
Like 40,
yeah, about
50%
double.
margin?
Yeah.
Okay, 40% margin is usually the top or like the most private labelers are having 40% margin. And that's a good guideline when you're setting your price, like where to look, where your ceiling is. It's a good guideline to think that 40% is the maximum you can charge. If you charge 100% margin, then it's probably going to be out of the normal price, and that gets this extra. There is one thing though, like $19.95, I would never change to 20 or 21 because it will be already not 19 but 20 something. There's this
exactly
decision. I don't know. Like you have to go and check with your wife now at this point. Should you spend that much money or not? Like there's this little bit of decision struggle at that. But if you would have asked me right now, if your price is 22 or 23, should I change it to more? I would say yes, because in US you have $25 free shipping threshold, right? And if you are just below it, that means that the person has to pay for shipping like $5.50, let's say, right? And in that case, if you're paying $5.50, then you end up paying like $27 in total. And that is more than you would pay when you have free shipping, $25, right? Yeah. So I would totally recommend, if you have any products right now that are just below the free shipping threshold, then you can just increase the price to be just a little bit above, and that would definitely definitely help.
That's great. So let's I think holidays got to be Q4. We're still got some time before fourth quarter, but I think that's where most sellers, including us, make your money. So, there's obviously it could be a topic in itself, a podcast, a course, but I think that's when you should increase. I mean, I think generally that's when you make your money, right? So is that when you're increasing your price normally in fourth quarter? Or is there some thought process or psychology?
There's a lot
or you drop in price? Yeah, there's probably so much to
things like that, because everybody stocks up a lot on inventory, and very often sellers who have overstocked, they're waiting for the season to come and hoping, I'm just gonna sell it when Christmas comes. But and there's a lot of people who overstocked, and then when Christmas season gets half into it and they see it's not selling that much, and in January they'll be stuck with huge storage fees, and in December the storage fees are super, super high, So in reality, they are dropping their prices a bit. You would think that they're increasing because demand is higher, but because everyone is stocked so much and it's so expensive to stock it, in December, actually many sellers are dropping the price to get more velocity, more sales, and more everything. And I don't know, in general, I usually just leave my prices as is because I don't want to affect the algorithm, like I said, because once I know which price works, I leave it. And then all the other guys get rebooted by Amazon, rethink, right, reconsidered.
Yeah.
While I'm going strong on the same way, and then it gets more sales. It's just so...
Sure.
Yeah, it's very hard to do that. But you should keep in mind your costs, though. Maybe your margin now you said is 50%. But if you're playing with the price on some of the products, you may have only 10% margin. Keep in mind that could be eaten up by storage costs, which are so much higher in the 3 months of the seasonal of the Christmas, especially in the United States and Japan. They are like very, very, very high. And I don't know if that could eat up all of your margin, you have to consider that as well, and that could be the trigger when you could increase your price. So always look at many other factors as well that come into the play.
Yeah. Yeah, for some listeners, or maybe for you, we didn't sell like our main product, the coffee pot last year. It made it through Christmas without selling out, but it takes three months or so to restock from manufacturing, shipping, at least 3 or 4 months. So it's just dangerous. You don't want to run out of stock. So we increased our price. So I'm talking $20 now. We jacked it up to $35, and it still sold out in January. It was insane. Like we couldn't slow down. Even when we increased to $35, now it's at $20. We couldn't stop the sales. Like it just kept coming. In January, I think it was we felt like it was gift cards, but then we ran out of stock, and it was like a month out of stock. So it's just, I think also maybe sellers should think about running out of stock, right? But we couldn't even slow down the sales. We turned off PPC and we increased to 35, and it still sold out. It was crazy in January. So, and this has been a fascinating conversation. There's is there something I'm missing about this? I mean, that we should add towards now getting towards the end of the kind of the meat of the conversation?
I guess I could mention the bundling, that is important to do bundling when it makes sense. So you know how the bundling, if you bundle instead of one product, you connect 2 of them together with Scotch tape and then you label it, that becomes a bundle, right? And you actually make more profit per unit when you do that, even if you lower your price by $1 or something. The reason this happens is because when you add another unit, FBA fee doesn't double up. Referral fee does double up, but FBA fee just slightly increases. And that's where all your savings come from that. And then so if you have 2 or 3 units bundled up, your profit per unit sold, it could be much, much bigger than you're just selling single items. But not every item is suitable for bundling. So I would suggest start with the singles, run it for like 1 year, and then look at your Seller Central business reports and check, how many orders came in and how many average units they bought. And if something is over 2.1, then it's a good item for bundling. And I would bundle those, especially for upcoming Christmas season and things like that.
Great. That's great, Paulina. Thanks for adding that. And let's talk a little bit about what you're working on. You mentioned it towards the beginning, but the software shopkeeper, can you give us some insights how it can help us with this pricing game?
Yeah, so actually, Shopkeeper is a profit calculator. There are 72 different fees on Amazon, fees and charges. So usually, when I was a seller, it was so hard for me to go and pull all of these 25 different Excel reports. Then you download them, then you pivot tables, then so much work. So I created an app for myself to catch all of them automatically. Any time of the day I would log in, I would know how much profit I am making. And it has this little extra neat feature. You know how all new people who are new sellers, they like to go to stats and keep refreshing Seller Central. How many more I sold? How many more I sold? And they go every 5 minutes, keep refreshing. Yeah. So to fix that, Shopkeeper has this ka-ching sound that it makes on every new sale. So it keeps refreshing and checking for you every few minutes. You can leave it in the other tab while you're working in something else, and it makes ka-ching, and the tab changes to new sales, Even if you have like a 9-to-5 job and you have one screen open, you can still have a tab change and see that you're making sales while you're working. So,
cool.
So little things like that. But in general, is managing by exception type of tool where you see the problems first. So it helps you to see, I'm overspending here. Oh, I'm doing this wrong. Okay, and then you go and attack those first. So that's the key feature in our app.
Exciting. Okay, and then how can people find more about the software and what and how to find you guys online?
So if you go to shopkeeper.com, let me give you, I guess, a little surprise that I prepared. So
Okay.
normally our free trial is 14 days, right? And many promotions that other apps run online, they usually give like 30 days or like 60 days free trial when they do bonuses. But today I would like to give you a special deal. It's going to be 180 days free trial. So
Wow.
6 months free trial of Shopkeeper to anyone who's
Amazing.
listening. It's especially useful to those new sellers who are just starting up because at that point you can't really afford any tools yet. So to claim
Okay.
that, go to shopkeeper.com and you'll see a little chat bubble in the corner. You know, the regular start chat bubble like all the apps have. Just open it up and type in Stingray 180. You know, the fish, the stingray, which I like. So
Oh, Stingray.
all
Okay.
capital letters Stingray 180. And that will automatically upgrade you to the 6 months free trial.
Nice.
There's a little
Thank you for
present.
that.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Yeah. Christmas in July. We're in
That's right.
July now.
Actually, July
It's
is the month
awesome.
when I'm starting to order my Christmas stock, right? Because it takes 2 months
It's
to
true
manufacture
for
and stuff.
sellers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it truly is for us. Yeah. Well, this has been a fascinating conversation, Pauline. Thanks for sharing your insights and that extra little bonus for us sellers here. And thank you again.
All right. Thanks for having me. Okay.